It's Brady's bit.
Bar down, full send, boys. Welcome to another episode of Brady's Bit. In this show, I give you my opinion, you give me yours, mostly because I'm not talking to anybody else, so I'm talking directly to you right there in the webcam. So, I would like to say this is a show on the NHL today, and upcoming, it's off season, upcoming comes free agency. Free agency is one of those very, very important times for teams to rebuild, to reset, reload, and get back into another season on the ice. I'm wearing this jersey right here. It's not a typical jersey. It's something from benchclears.com, and it's for summer, it's for the off season, when it's just a little bit too hot outside to go out and wear a jersey or sweater. You're wearing a sleeveless shirt like this. So go check out Bench Clears, not sponsored. I find it very, very cool. Regardless, we're here to talk about NHL Free Agency. Now, there are a few different free agents. There's a lot of restricted free agents with how NHL rookie contracts work and how many good young players there are. There are a lot of restricted free agents out there, but there aren't all too many restricted or unrestricted free agents that make the biggest impact. Fortunately for you, I picked out a few that I think will make a big impact and some teams that really, really need to start signing some big-time contracts for big-time players. To start, we have Mitch Marner. He is a restricted free agent. Everybody knows, that is paying attention at least. Everybody knows Mitch Marner is out there looking around. He is restricted, which means the rights to him are owned by the Toronto Maple Leafs, who can't really re-sign him just because of how much he's really gonna demand in his contract. But he is touring around. His camp, his agents, he's running around looking to see who's gonna give him the best offer. And the real choice here is he going to get an $8 million, $7 million, $9 million contract that he so desires? Upper end, of course. But the thing is, he scored 94 points last season, 26 goals, 68 assists alongside Auston Matthews on the Maple Leafs. And although I saw this on TSN and they believed that it's very, very difficult for Marner to go out there and say, hey, I want $8 million, because not a lot of teams are going to say that. Teams like the Avalanche, who would be a very good fit, need second line scoring. They need that second presence of scoring on their team. They'd look at him and go, Nathan MacKinnon's making $6.3 million. You're not going to get signed for that unless you are getting signed in one of those cities where Auston Matthews is getting a big contract, Connor McDavid's getting a big contract. Those big town teams that have money that really, really would fit. So it really depends on Mitch Marner. He's looking probably in the realm of $7.1 to $7.5 million is where he's going to get signed. We'll see when that ends up coming around, but some other guys that'll be really interesting are Artemi Panarin. Now, he's an unrestricted free agent, 27 years old, a left winger. He's a right-handed shot. He scored 87 points last season, 28 goals, 59 assists on the year, playing in almost every single game. He had a contract worth $6 million last year. This year will probably be shooting for the realm of $7 to $7.5 million, very similar to Marner, although he is unrestricted, so no team own his rights just yet. Now, the thing about Panarin is he would be an extremely well fit for a lot of different teams that need a scoring presence, whether on the first or second line. Now, teams like, I'm going to say it again, the Colorado Avalanche would benefit greatly, and they're probably looking to target Panarin, mostly because the Avalanche have one of the lowest, and I believe the lowest, total salaries in the league. They're sitting right around $45.974 million, so they're sitting about $14 million below the cap minimum, so they need to start bumping up and making some more big-time re-signings, big-time signings out there. Panarin could be one of them. A few other teams, the Ottawa Senators, they gave up Erik Karlsson. They don't exactly have all that many people to re-sign. They're sitting below, right around $11.7 million. The Blue Jackets, obviously the guys that had Panarin, sitting around $9 million below. The Devils, they just got Jack Hughes. They just picked up their big-time piece for the future. It's very, very hard to say that they don't go out and try to make a splash in free agency. The two more teams, the Carolina Hurricanes sitting right around $3.4 million underneath the cap, while the Winnipeg Jets, Patrick Laine and all, are sitting right about $2.6 million below the cap. These are teams that you're going to be looking for to make really big-time splashes. The Avalanche, they're going to be contending, young core. They need to build up, and it'll be a team that's obviously buying going into this time of the year. Now, for Panarin, I think good fits would be the Avalanche just because they need that second line scoring, and then, Gabriel Landeskog can be bumped to his left wing position or right wing, whichever way you want to put him, but a right-handed shot wouldn't be horrible. Another guy that would be very, very interesting going into this is Matt Duchene. Two Columbus Blue Jackets, Panarin and Duchene, both unrestricted free agents going into this year. Matt Duchene, he was previously with the Colorado Avalanche. I apologize for all the Colorado Avalanche references, but Duchene, he's out there. He's not going to the Avalanche, so you guys don't have to worry about that. But he's a center. He's a big-time scoring presence, as he was his entire career. He had a great season this year, 70 points, 31 goals, which is what you love to see, 39 assists, so right around even. He's a big-time goal scorer, sniper, and did really, really well for them in the playoffs. Look out for Matt Duchene in the future in the next couple of years. He is 28 years old, so he's probably going to be looking for that 6 to 7 year deal, and probably in the realm of about $9 million, just because he is proven he does have that veteran presence, and he can perform in the playoffs as he's proven he's done so far. Now, teams that need centers, you can look at kind of this middle range. You can't look towards the Minnesota Wild just because they're aging and they need some young skaters out there. But I wouldn't be all too worried if you were a team like potentially the San Jose Sharks, just re-signed Erik Karlsson to a long-term 8-year deal. But you look towards this realm of Vancouver, they could use somebody like this. The Buffalo Sabres, you could see them making a deep dive, or potentially the New York Islanders. Now, the Islanders could obviously, they got Capo Cacao, great time scoring presence, but you need that kind of bridge guy. Get yourself a 6-7 year deal with a proven veteran that can kind of guide these guys down the line. And I could see good fits for Duchene with a few different teams. There are not many teams that projected salary cap is over the cap, but you could see teams like potentially the Nashville Predators going all in on somebody after they traded PK Subban earlier. Matt Duchene would fit very, very well in that system. A few more guys that I think are very, very interesting. Joe Pavelski, he's going to hopefully re-sign with the San Jose Sharks. He's 35 years old, center. Jumbo Joe, as they say. He's all-time greats. He's really, really up there in the list of greatest Sharks ever, and definitely one of the biggest pieces for their success in the past decade and a half. Now, Anders Lee, that's a very, very interesting one. Coming from the Islanders, you don't really want to go to the Islanders. You don't want to be a part of that organization right now, just because they are in this kind of weird rebuilding phase where they don't exactly have all the pieces that they need just yet. But Anders Lee could potentially look to go elsewhere. Anders Lee, center, 29 years old. Big piece. He could do really whatever he wants. The teams that I kind of mentioned that Duchene could go for, very similar to what Anders Lee could, just because similar age. Anders would be asking for probably in the realm of $5 to $6 million, 6 to 7, kind of in this odd range where he's not as good as Duchene, but he can ask for quite a bit of money because teams need to spend money, and that's what's really good about the NHL cap and the minimum cap. Some teams really need to get people and sign people to ludicrous contracts, because if they don't, they're below the limit. Regardless, teams that I can see Anders Lee going well for, obviously Islanders. I can see him going for a team like the Blues, potentially the Vancouver Canucks. I could see him going to a team like the Panthers, but that's also the retirement home of all NHL players, just like the Arizona Coyotes is. But you could see him kind of going to those kind of bridge teams. He doesn't seem like he really wants to play for a contender more so than money. It's one of those, he can go anywhere. He doesn't really have all the limits in the world to him. Now we'll go to a different side of the ice. We'll go back to the defensive zone where the goalkeepers are really stacking up in this offseason. There's Sergei Bobrovsky and Semyon Varlamov. Columbus Blue Jackets losing another player potentially to free agency. Semyon Varlamov of the Avalanche, both 31 years old, both really, really good, solid goaltenders having good seasons, both making in the realm of $6 to $7.5 million. You could see them kind of going for this tempting 5 to 6 year contract, 4 to 6 years. And, I believe with Semyon Varlamov's injury history that he wouldn't get signed for just as long. Sergei Bobrovsky could possibly get signed for about a 5-year deal to some needy teams. Now, depending on what the Florida Panthers do with their first-round goaltender, who's getting a lot of comparisons to Carey Price, the Florida Panthers drafted number 13 overall Spencer Knight. And he's a very, very good goaltender. Obviously one of the last goaltenders drafted in the first round, which is very, very unheard of for goaltenders going so high and so early, which I find unusual. But it was Carey Price. And depending on what they want to do with him, if they want to drop him down for a year, I wouldn't be surprised if one of these teams like Florida that has Liberto Luongo, their longtime goaltender, if they went up and said, hey, let's go sign one of these little bit older, proven goaltenders like Varlamov or Bobrovsky for a small 2-3 year contract just to bridge the gap between their two guys. Now, probably one of the most interesting guys out there, St. Louis's goaltender Jordan Binnington. St. Louis, after winning the Cup this year, Jordan Binnington being their key piece in their success in the Stanley Cup Finals. We'll see what he ends up doing. He is a restricted free agent for them, so they own the rights to him. But if he doesn't want to stay, then he can possibly look to get traded or otherwise. Now, in a flurry of trades that occurred just a few days back, you have to look at a team like the Toronto Maple Leafs. They're set in a such awkward position just because they have to trade big contracts away that they can't really afford. And that's the really, really tough part about being in the position that they're in. They have a lot of talented players, but they have a lot of players that are on the last 3 to 4 years of their deals, which can be extremely, extremely crucial to how they view their success going into the future. Now, there are trade rumors flying around. The Toronto Maple Leafs want to get rid of Nikita Zaitsev. He hasn't had a great defensive season in quite a while, a couple years back. Now, if this was 2 years ago, they said this on TSN, 2 years ago, teams would be like, it's interesting. You got a guy 7 years left on his deal. Let's take a dive on him. But now somebody like Zaitsev that's dropped so drastically, teams are going to be like, we don't really want him, so there's going to be a sweetener. He's probably one of those guys that's probably going to get traded in the near future, but the Toronto Maple Leafs will have to give something up just so that they can trade him to another team so they can get that cap back. He's sitting at $4.5 million for the next 5 years. So it's going to be a tough contract for whoever decides to pick that up. Just a quick recap for those that care about potential cap hits. The Vegas Golden Knights are sitting at the highest cap in the NHL at $89 million. They're sitting well above the cap limit as it is. Pittsburgh Penguins sitting at number 2, along with the Arizona Coyotes sitting at $75 million at number 3. Now, the bottom 3 teams in the league at cap space, or the most amount of cap space, I should say. The Colorado Avalanche, Ottawa Senators number 2, and the Columbus Blue Jackets number 3. Look for those teams to make some big moves coming into the offseason. Now, In Brady's Bit, I appreciate you giving me your opinion, you liking, commenting, subscribing, doing all the generic YouTube shit that everybody else asks. I ask you to do it because I like that as well. Yeah. Regardless, if you do want to see something like this jersey, go to benchclears.com. Again, not a sponsor. I think they're just kind of cool. But regardless, put your guys' feedback, opinions, comments, whatever, in the comments section down below. And if you have anything else to say, let me know, or check out something on TSN, because they always have good stuff there. Regardless, goodbye.